for the selfie. See it?
From the haunting image of the Barbary lion in the wilds of North Africa to the poignant snapshot of a mysterious sea creature washed ashore, history is marked by moments that capture the final chapters of species that once graced our planet. Join us as we uncover these and other irreplaceable moments preserved in time with the 20 last known photos of animals that have gone extinct. Number 20. Thylacine. The thylacine, often referred to as the Tasmanian tiger, holds the title of the largest carnivorous marsupial of modern time. With a body length of 6 feet and a standing height of 2 feet, this intriguing animal was predominantly found in Tasmania, Australia, and New Guinea. Prior to European colonization, the thylacine thrived in these regions, perfectly adapted to its environment. Featuring 15 to 20 distinctive dark stripes that ran from its shoulders to its tail, the thylacine was an iconic figure in its habitat. It had a striking appearance, with a robust jaw that contained 46 teeth, ideal for its nocturnal hunts. The dark circles around its black eyes were accentuated by 2 small brown triangles, with patches of orange fur enhancing its fierce yet mesmerizing look. Primarily a solitary hunter, the thylacine occasionally formed small groups to hunt. Its diet mainly consisted of birds, kangaroos, and other smaller animals, capitalizing on its ability to hunt during the darker hours of dawn and dusk. This nocturnal behavior was perhaps a strategic adaptation to the challenges of its environment and the competition for food. Despite its prowess and adaptation, the arrival of Europeans marked the beginning of its decline. The last confirmed sighting of a wild thylacine was in 1930, and the species was declared extinct when the last captive individual died in 1936. However, the legend of the thylacine continues to live on, with occasional yet unsubstantiated reports of sightings across Australia, particularly in the 1980s. Number 19. Passenger pigeon. The passenger pigeon, once the most abundant bird species in North America, witnessed a devastating decline from billions to extinction over just a few decades. This species thrived in the dense forests of the eastern United States, forming massive flocks that could darken the sky for days during their migrations. However, the rapid expansion of European settlers in the 19th century drastically changed the landscape. Massive deforestation to clear land for agriculture and urban development destroyed critical habitats for these birds. Additionally, the passenger pigeon became a popular target for commercial hunters. Its meat was cheap and became a staple for slaves and the impoverished, exacerbating its decline. The species' social nature and breeding behavior made it particularly vulnerable. Passenger pigeons needed large colonies for effective breeding, but as their numbers dwindled, they could not reproduce in sufficient numbers to sustain their population. By the end of the 19th century, wild populations were virtually non-existent. Martha, the last known passenger pigeon, lived out her final days in the Cincinnati Zoo. Her photograph, taken in 1914, is the last visual record of this species. She died on September 1, 1914, marking the definitive end of the passenger pigeon. Number 18. Paradise parrot. The paradise parrot, a strikingly colorful bird from eastern Australia, was known for its vibrant plumage and elusive nature. These birds typically lived in pairs or small family groups and had a unique nesting behavior, choosing to build their nests inside termite mounds. Despite their beauty, the paradise parrot was never particularly common, inhabiting remote areas. The factors leading to their extinction are not entirely clear, but several elements likely played a role. The expansion of cattle grazing damaged their natural habitat, while land clearing and controlled burns further disrupted their environment. Additionally, the pet trade may have targeted them for their striking appearance, and predation by introduced species such as cats and dogs posed significant threats. The turn of the 20th century was particularly harsh for the paradise parrot. Following a severe drought in 1902 that decimated their already vulnerable population, sightings became incredibly rare by the early 1920s. The last known photograph of a paradise parrot was taken in 1922. This image captures a wild bird as it enters its nest within a termite mound, providing a rare glimpse into the life of this mysterious species. Tragically, the last confirmed sighting of the paradise parrot occurred in 1927, only 5 years after this photograph was taken. Number 17. Quagga. The quagga was once a common sight in the vast plains of South Africa, distinctive for its partial striping. The quagga had stripes only on the front half of its body, differentiating it from its relative, the zebra. This animal was the focus of significant interest when the only known photograph of a female quagga was taken at the London Zoo in 1870. Remarkably, this image remains the sole authentic visual record of the quagga in captivity, as no photographs of this species in the wild exist. Originally flourishing in great numbers across the South African landscapes, the quagga's story took a tragic turn as it was hunted extensively for its hide and meat. The species was also targeted to reduce grazing competition for domesticated animals. This relentless hunting pressure led to the death of the last wild quagga in the 1870s, with the final captive individual dying in August 1883. In a turn toward scientific advancement and conservation, 1987 marked the inception of the Quagga Project, an ambitious endeavor aiming for de-extinction. This groundbreaking project not only tested the quagga's DNA but also established it as the first extinct animal to undergo such analysis. This research revealed that quaggas were not a distinct species but rather a subspecies of the plain zebra. The project's efforts bore fruit in 1988 when the first full-bred to resemble the quagga's unique coat pattern and coloration was successfully born. Number 16. Caribbean monk seal. The Caribbean monk seal was the only seal species native to the Gulf of Mexico. Once commonly found throughout its range, these seals typically gathered in groups of around 30 but were sometimes seen in groups of up to 100. Their diet consisted mainly of fish and crustaceans. On land, they were sluggish and had a generally curious nature, even around people, which unfortunately contributed to their downfall. Several factors led to the extinction of the Caribbean monk seal. Overhunting of their prey left them with insufficient food to sustain their populations. Their inability to escape quickly on land made them easy targets for hunters. Their curiosity towards humans further facilitated hunting. These seals were primarily hunted for the oil derived from their blubber, and they were also regularly eaten. By the 1850s, the Caribbean monk seal had already become rare. In 1886, a scientific survey discovered a large number of seals around a small set of islets. Tragically, 42 seals were killed during this expedition to be sent to museums worldwide. Today, only 2 of those museum specimens remain, both in the United Kingdom. One of the last known photos of the Caribbean monk seal shows a seal that was part of a group of 4 acquired by the New York Aquarium. Another photo from this same group dates back to 1952. The last confirmed sighting of the species was off the coast of Colombia in 1952. Since then, the Caribbean monk seal has never been seen again. Now it's time for today's topic. Some creatures leave behind legends, others leave photos. This one did both. In the chaos of 1945, shortly after World War II, the infamous Makurazaki typhoon ripped through Japan, leaving a trail of destruction and over 2,000 lives lost. But it wasn't just destruction the typhoon brought ashore. It carried a visitor straight out of a sailor's nightmare. Locals at a beach in Kagoshima were left speechless when they stumbled upon this thing washed up on the sand. Massive, otherworldly, and with limbs that looked like they could wrestle Godzilla, this creature had everyone scratching their heads. Was it a Kraken, a prehistoric beast, or Japan's answer to Nessie? Here's the kicker. After that day, the creature disappeared. Poof, gone. No more sightings, no remains. It's like the typhoon delivered it, and nature decided, yeah, you're not ready for this. Scientists from all over speculated, but they've got zilch. Some say it was a cryptid, others think it's just Japan pulling a prank on the world. For those of you thinking about visiting Japan's beaches, maybe keep an eye out, or don't, because if this bad boy shows up again, it might just remind you why we fear what lies beneath. Number 15. Bali Tiger. The Bali Tiger, once a formidable predator on the Indonesian island of Bali, was a distinct subspecies of tiger that tragically became the first tiger subspecies to go extinct in the 20th century. Smaller than many of its mainland relatives, the Bali tiger was perfectly adapted to the dense forest habitats of the island. Males typically weighed around 212 pounds, about 100 kilograms, with females being slightly smaller. Their coats were deep and rich in color, with shortened fur and smaller stripes compared to other tiger subspecies. As an apex predator, the Bali tiger played a crucial role in maintaining the ecological balance, regulating prey species and vegetation. Their diet primarily consisted of wild pigs, rusa deer, and occasionally smaller animals like birds and monkeys. However, the rapid growth of Bali's human population posed a severe threat to their existence. The forests that were their home were cleared for agricultural development, significantly reducing their habitat. Additionally, the tigers were hunted both as perceived threats to livestock and for their body parts, which were highly valued in traditional medicine and as trophies. The natural prey of the Bali tiger was also hunted by humans, leading to a catastrophic decline in their numbers. By the early 20th century, their population had diminished much faster than anticipated, with the last confirmed sighting recorded in 1937. The rapid decline left no opportunity to initiate a conservation program. By the 1940s, the Bali tiger was declared extinct. Number 14. Gastric brooding frogs. Gastric brooding frogs were truly unique among amphibians. There were 2 known species, the northern gastric brooding frog and the southern gastric brooding frog, both found in small ranges in eastern Australia. What set them apart was their extraordinary reproductive method. They were the only frogs known to raise their young inside their stomach. Discovered in the 1970s, these frogs gained international attention for their unusual brooding behavior. Sadly, just a decade after their discovery, both species disappeared. The primary culprit for their rapid decline is believed to be the amphibian chytrid fungus, a deadly pathogen that has devastated amphibian populations worldwide. This fungus thickens the skin of infected amphibians, disrupting their ability to absorb water and electrolytes, ultimately leading to death. Additionally, deforestation, habitat disruption, and the introduction of non-native species likely contributed to their extinction. The last known photographs of the gastric brooding frogs capture these remarkable creatures during their brief window of scientific recognition. Interestingly, the gastric brooding frogs are now part of a de-extinction project, which aims to bring them back using advanced genetic techniques. Number 13. The Guam flying fox. The Guam flying fox, also known as the Little Mariana's fruit bat, was a species of megabat native to the island of Guam in Micronesia. This tiny bat played a crucial role in the ecosystem as a pollinator and seed disperser, contributing to the health of Guam's tropical forests. Tragically, the Guam flying fox faced relentless threats from human activities. Hunting, primarily for food and trade, along with drastic changes to its natural habitat, led to a steep decline in its population. The forests where the bats roost and fed were cleared for agricultural development and urban expansion, further reducing their chances of survival. The last confirmed sighting of the Guam flying fox occurred in 1967, when a female was observed roosting at Tarago Cliff on Guam. Despite desperate attempts, this individual narrowly evaded capture. There was an unconfirmed sighting in the 1970s, but since then, no other sightings have been reported. Due to the lack of confirmed presence and continued habitat degradation, the Guam flying fox was declared extinct. Number 12. Carolina parakeet. The Carolina parakeet, the only parrot species native to the eastern United States, once thrived from the Great Plains to the Gulf of Mexico, with reports of sightings as far north as southern Canada. This vibrantly colored bird was renowned for its gregarious nature, often seen in large flocks that could number in the hundreds. Feeding primarily on fruits and seeds, the Carolina parakeet had a peculiar preference for the seeds of the cocklebur plant. These seeds contained a toxin, which, when ingested by the birds, made them toxic to predators. This unique defense mechanism suggested that predators, such as house cats, often met fatal outcomes after preying on these birds. Despite their apparent abundance in the past, evidence suggests that the Carolina parakeet was already in a natural decline since the last ice age. However, the arrival of European settlers accelerated their demise through widespread deforestation and habitat destruction, confining the remaining populations primarily to Florida. Additionally, the parakeets were hunted extensively for their colorful feathers, desirable in the fashion industry, and captured for the pet trade. By 1896, observations indicated a still vibrant population capable of flocking and reproducing. However, by 1904, they had virtually disappeared, leaving their extinction shrouded in mystery. The last known photo of a Carolina parakeet was taken in 1900. This photograph features Incas, the last known individual of the species, who remarkably was housed in the same cage at the Cincinnati Zoo that once held Martha, the last passenger pigeon. Incas died in 1918, just 4 years after Martha, marking the end of this colorful species. Number 11. Buble heartbeast. The buble heartbeast, initially described by science in 1766, was a unique subspecies among the 8 known types of heartbeast. Distinguished by its uniform sand-colored fur, this antelope was perfectly adapted to blend into the deserts of northern Africa, its native habitat. Historically prevalent across this region, it played a crucial role in the local ecosystem, with the Barber lion as its main predator. Following the French colonization of Algeria in the 1830s, the fate of the buble heartbeast took a drastic turn. Hunters and colonists often targeted these animals, and entire herds were decimated in organized shooting events. This overhunting led to a rapid decline in their population, restricting their range significantly by the early 1900s. By then, the buble heartbeast could only be found in isolated areas of Algeria and Morocco. A particularly grim chapter in the history of the buble heartbeast occurred in 1917, when a small herd of 15 animals was discovered. Tragically, the person who located them ended up killing all but 3 of the herd. The last known photograph of the buble heartbeast was taken in 1923 at a zoo in Paris. This image captures one of the last representatives of its kind in captivity. Only 2 years later, in 1925, the last known wild buble heartbeast was shot and killed in Morocco, marking the tragic end of this subspecies. Number 10. Western black rhino. The western black rhino, once a majestic inhabitant of West Africa, became a stark symbol of extinction due to human greed. This subspecies of the black rhino was recognized for its 2 horns, a larger anterior and a smaller posterior one, which unfortunately became its downfall, as they were highly coveted for use in traditional medicine and as status symbols. Historically, the western black rhino was widespread across West Africa, roaming the savannas in vast numbers. However, relentless poaching for their valuable horns led to a catastrophic decline in their population. By the 1980s, the escalation in poaching activities was primarily driven by the increased demand and high prices paid for rhino horns on the international market. This surge made poaching an appealing, albeit illegal, source of income for those living near the habitats of these rhinos. Despite efforts in the 1930s by conservationists to revive their dwindling numbers, which saw a temporary increase in population, these efforts could not combat the overwhelming pressures of poaching. By the early 21st century, fewer than 10 western black rhinos remained. In 2006, the tragic end came when the last of them were killed, leaving none in the wild or in captivity. The International Union for Conservation of Nature officially declared the western black rhino extinct in 2011. Number 9. Barbary lion. The Barbary lion, once a prominent subspecies of the African lion, roamed the desert regions of northern Africa. Known for its majestic appearance and significant cultural impact, the Barbary lion was found near major centers of ancient human civilization and has deep roots in historical and religious texts. It inspired the Egyptian goddess Sekhmet, featured in biblical tales, and appeared in the Quran. These lions were also likely the ones pitted against gladiators in ancient Rome, making them a symbol of strength and ferocity. However, the very attributes that made the Barbary lion revered also led to its demise. The constant proximity to human settlements meant that these lions were often seen as a threat. Killing a Barbary lion was considered a mark of bravery and strength, which led to relentless persecution. As firearms became more widespread in the region and bounties on lions increased, their numbers dwindled rapidly. By the 1960s, it was believed that the last Barbary lion had been shot and killed. A photograph taken from an airplane flying over the Atlas Mountains during this period is often cited as the last known photo of this majestic lion. In a surprising twist, recent genetic research has revised the narrative of the Barbary lion's extinction. It revealed that what was considered a distinct subspecies is actually part of a single clade that spans North Africa, the Middle East, parts of Southern Europe, and Asia. This discovery suggests that while the Barbary lion, as it was historically known, may no longer roam the wild, its genetic legacy continues in the lions of these regions. Number 8. Tarpan. The tarpan, also known as the Eurasian wild horse, was a distinct subspecies of wild horse that roamed freely across Europe and Asia. Known for its robust build, the tarpan stood approximately 5 feet tall at the shoulder, featuring a gruelo-colored body, a smoky mouse-gray color, complemented by dark legs, thick manes, and pronounced shoulder stripes. The breed lived in the wild from the 18th to the 20th century, with their habitats spanning vast natural landscapes. Tragically, indiscriminate hunting led to their rapid decline. The last wild tarpan met a grim fate when it was killed during a capture attempt, while the last captive tarpan died in 1918. Notably, there is a single photograph from 1884 believed to be the only authentic image of a live tarpan, although its authenticity has sparked some debate among historians and scientists. Efforts to resurrect the tarpan were initiated but ultimately proved unsuccessful. These efforts highlighted the subtle but significant differences between tarpans and modern domestic horses. In the 1930s, a German breeder named Lutz Heck began breeding what is now known as the Heck horse, aiming to recreate the tarpan's distinct features. This initiative also gave rise to the Konik, a breed that bears a closer resemblance to the tarpan and is considered an untamed descendant of domestic horses. Number 7. Lake Wallaby. The Lake Wallaby, known for its grace and striking appearance, was once a prominent feature of the grasslands in southeastern Australia. Described scientifically in 1846, this species stood nearly 1 meter tall and was easily recognizable by its distinctive markings. However, the rapid expansion of human settlements during the 19th and early 20th centuries led to severe habitat loss and fragmentation, pushing the Lake Wallaby to the brink of extinction. By the 1920s, the population had plummeted to critically low numbers. In a desperate attempt to preserve the species, 14 of the last known Lake Wallabies were gathered for a breeding program. Tragically, this effort was largely unsuccessful. 10 of the 14 wallabies died during capture due to the stress and handling, leaving only 4 to be transferred to a zoo setting. These remaining individuals represented the last hope for the species' survival in captivity. The last confirmed sighting of the Lake Wallaby in the wild was in 1924, marking a somber milestone in its decline. Although unverified reports of sightings persisted into the 1970s, these were never substantiated. The final blow came later in 1924 when the last captive female, shown in this photograph, passed away. Number 6. Golden toad. The golden toad was an extraordinary amphibian found only in a tiny patch of rainforest in the mountains of Costa Rica. First discovered in 1966, this vibrant species became known for its striking appearance and unique breeding habits. Every year during the mating season, the golden toads would gather in large numbers, creating a spectacular sight. In 1987, A typical population was observed during the breeding months, and photographs from this period capture one of the last healthy gatherings of the species. However, by 1988, the situation had drastically changed. Scientists recorded only 10 or 11 toads that year. The decline continued sharply, and by 1989, only one male toad was spotted. Despite extensive searches throughout the 1990s, the species could not be located. An expedition in 2004 confirmed the grim reality. The golden toad was officially declared extinct. Several factors contributed to the rapid decline of the golden toad. A significant drought in the late 1980s severely affected their habitat. More devastating was the arrival of the amphibian chytrid fungus in Costa Rica. This deadly fungus thickened the toad's skin, disrupting their ability to absorb water and electrolytes, ultimately leading to their death. Number 5. Blackfaced Honeycreeper. The Blackfaced Honeycreeper, also known as the puli, was a unique bird species endemic to the dense rainforests on the slopes of Maui, Hawaii. Discovered in 1973, this small bird, about 5 inches in length, quickly became a symbol of the rapid decline facing many native Hawaiian bird species due to human impact and the introduction of invasive species. Distinct for its black facial mask contrasting with its brown and beige plumage, the puli differed from other honeycreepers mainly in its diet. Unlike its nectar-feeding relatives, the puli's short, stout bill was adapted for eating insects and snails, showcasing its specialized adaptation to its environment. However, this unique diet also made the puli particularly vulnerable to habitat changes. The rapid decline of the puli population was primarily driven by habitat destruction due to deforestation and land development, which drastically reduced their natural living spaces. Additionally, the introduction of non-native species like mosquitoes, which brought diseases such as avian malaria and avian pox, further decimated their numbers. These diseases were particularly lethal, as the puli, like many Hawaiian birds, evolved in isolation and lacked natural immunity to these pathogens. Conservation efforts to save the puli faced significant hurdles. Attempts to breed the bird in captivity were unsuccessful, partly due to the difficulty in capturing the few remaining individuals. The inaccessibility of their natural habitat, located in Maui's rugged mountainous forests, compounded these conservation challenges. By the early 21st century, the puli's numbers were critically low, and the last confirmed sighting was in 2004. A study conducted in 2018 found no signs of the species, leading to its declaration as extinct in 2019. Number 4. Materon large white butterfly. The Materon large white butterfly, a subspecies native to the Madeira archipelago off the coast of Africa, was known for its striking appearance and ecological importance. With a wingspan reaching up to 3 inches, about 7 centimeters, it was among the larger members of the large white butterfly species found across Europe and North Africa. Its creamy white wings adorned with pronounced black patterns, more distinct than those of its mainland relatives, made it a standout amongst the unique biodiversity of Madeira. Primarily, the Materon large white's caterpillars fed on the Brassica family, which includes cabbages and mustards, integrating them into the island's pollination network and playing a crucial role in the life cycles of various native plants. However, this very diet made them particularly vulnerable to changes in agricultural practices. The introduction of pesticides in the 20th century, intended to protect crops from pests, inadvertently caused significant harm to the caterpillars of the Materon large white. Alongside the detrimental effects of pesticides, urbanization and the expansion of agricultural land use led to the loss of the native plant life vital to the survival of this butterfly. By the mid-20th century, sightings of the Materon large white became increasingly scarce, with the last observation recorded in the 1970s. Despite extensive searches in subsequent years, no further sightings were confirmed, leading experts to declare this butterfly extinct. Number 3. Baiji River Dolphin. The Baiji River Dolphin, a species once emblematic of China's Yangtze River, is remembered through the poignant lens of extinction. Known for their long, slender beaks and exceptional hearing, Baiji dolphins were uniquely adapted to life in murky river waters, navigating with echolocation due to their limited eyesight. These magnificent creatures could reach up to 8 feet in length, gliding gracefully through the Yangtze's currents. River dolphins like the Baiji are rare, having evolved distinctively to thrive in river environments despite their distant relationships to other dolphin species. The last confirmed sighting of a wild Baiji river dolphin dates back to 2002, accompanied by a mere photograph. That same year, the conservation community also mourned the death of Chi-Chi, the last known captive Baiji. The extinction of the Baiji was primarily driven by a combination of pollution, habitat degradation, and overfishing. These pressures not only destroyed the dolphins' habitat but also drastically reduced their food sources, leading to their inevitable demise. Since that last photograph in 2002, no verified sightings have been reported, and the Baiji river dolphin is now considered functionally extinct. Number 2. Japanese sea lion. The Japanese sea lion, once a prevalent species in the waters around Japan, Korea, and Russia, met an untimely demise largely due to human activities. This marine mammal was known for its impressive size and playful nature, often seen basking on rocky shores or frolicking in the coastal waters. However, extensive hunting by Japanese trawlers, who captured an astounding 16,500 sea lions, critically endangered the species. The devastation of World War II exacerbated their plight. Submarine warfare and other military activities likely disrupted their breeding grounds and further degraded their natural habitats. This combination of overhunting and habitat destruction proved disastrous for the Japanese sea lion. The last confirmed sighting occurred in 1974, when a juvenile was captured near Ribun Island off northern Hokkaido. Number 1. Teopa Pupfish. The Teopa Pupfish, a remarkable fish species, thrived in the hostile environment of the hot springs in California's Mojave Desert, where water temperatures soared to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Adapted to this extreme heat, the Teopa Pupfish represented a unique branch of desert fish, displaying an incredible example of evolutionary specialization. Despite its resilience to natural environmental stressors, the Teopa pupfish could not withstand the impact of human activities. During the health fad of the 1950s and 1960s, the region saw an influx of development. Bathhouses were constructed adjacent to their natural habitats, and the hot springs were artificially enlarged to accommodate more visitors. These modifications severely disrupted the delicate ecological balance of the springs, leading to catastrophic consequences for the pupfish. The Teopa pupfish's population began to decline rapidly as their breeding and feeding grounds were compromised. By early 1970, the last known Teopa pupfish was caught, marking a grim milestone in the species' history. Subsequent searches have failed to locate any surviving members of the species, and there have been no confirmed sightings since that time. Which of these animals intrigued you the most? Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.